Hey, what is up, Dev Crew? Today I'm here with Moya Richards. She is a senior full stack developer by day and runs the largest JavaScript Facebook group with over 105,000 subscribers by night. She also is a blogger on Medium where she likes to share nuggets of wisdom about how JavaScript actually works. Thanks so much for coming on, Moya. I'm really excited to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your programming journey? How did you get into programming and why?
So I actually got into programming in high school. It was crazy. We started doing programming with Microsoft Word. I
Oh,
know.
really?
I
What?
know. I know.
That's not the editor.
I know. It sounds silly, but yeah, that's how we started.
So, was that like VB stuff?
No, it was HTML because Microsoft Word actually
Oh,
changed whatever you put into it into HTML.
I think I remember doing that in high school too. Okay, cool. So you started doing that in high school and you're like, "Oh, I really like what did you think about it? Where you're like, "Oh, I really like doing this stuff?"
Oh, I really liked it. But it was crazy trying to get the Microsoft Word mess out of the code and converting it to real HTML. But it was fun.
Yeah, it must have been really fun. So, you got into it in high school and where did you go from there? Like what did you start pursuing college or did you just try to get a job? What did you do when you got out of high school?
So out of high school, I actually started college. I was going to college for biology. I wanted to do something with science in that way. And then I became friends with some guys. They spent a lot of time online. So, I learned how to use Merk and I wrote scripts, and that's when I realized that I really loved it. So I actually switched schools after that. I decided to go to a technical college. I went to DeVry University.
Okay, cool. And was this are you, you're in Chicago, right? So were you living in Chicago back then too?
Yeah,
Awesome. I lived in Chicago for a couple years, so it's a really cool place. It's definitely a melting pot of a bunch of different cultures and stuff. So you went to DeVry. And then, so did you graduate and then start working? You started as a freelancer, right? After you got out of college.
actually, I was teaching computer science in college. I was a tutor.
Oh, awesome. So that makes a lot of sense why you like doing the JavaScript group because you like helping other people a lot.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a very long time.
Awesome. So you started out doing tutoring was like your first paid kind of gig, and
Yeah.
then what did you do from there?
So after college, I got a job as a QA tester. So that was pretty fun. And then after that, I ended up, being a stay-at-home mom, and I did freelancing during that time.
Cool. So that's that. So then you could be home with your. I guess how many kids do you have? A few, or just one?
Oh, I have a few.
Oh, then you're busy. We have just one little one, and she's a handful. So that's really cool. I guess it's a really good field. So you did freelancing. So were you doing like WordPress sites and stuff like that when you got started?
Yeah, I got started doing WordPress, so I learned a lot of PHP during that time, and I dabbled in JavaScript a little bit during that time, but not that much. There were way too many plugins to worry about JavaScript at that time. It was kind of difficult when
Yeah,
I started with it because there weren't a lot of resources to learn JavaScript like we have now.
right. I'm
Yeah,
guessing and this before the browsers all kind of came together and be like, let's have a standard.
it was crazy. It was crazy. Browser incompatibility issues like every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, what was being a freelancer like? Did you go out and have to like go and get how did you get work? Because I tried doing freelancing before And it's like, it's so hard to just drum up work. Did you just have referrals, or did you have some connection that would give work to you and you kind of share, you network that way? How did you get work while you were doing freelancing?
Actually, during that time, Craigslist was a big thing, and they had a job section where people posted gigs. So I would respond to that. So a lot of my work came from that. A lot of it wasn't through word of mouth. A lot of it actually came from Craigslist.
So that was like that was the golden era of Craigslist before it got overtaken by everything else, right? Facebook and
Yeah,
all the other apps.
Facebook, LinkedIn, those are like Craigslist, you know.
That's awesome. So how did you deal with clients as far as meeting their expectations? Like, because that's a very hard thing to manage, right? Like, because some people are like, can you do this for like $5, right? And it's like, that's like 10 hours of work. So how did you manage expectations and help your customers, get quality work, but also pay you for it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I had to narrow down their focus. I had to tell them, okay, I understand that you want certain things, but let's look at what your competitors have and let's see if we can make it better. And a lot of times I experienced clients who didn't really know what they wanted, but they didn't know what they want, but they knew what they didn't like. So those clients were the most difficult ones because they would turn down a lot of features. So
Oh, wow.
those were the hardest ones to manage, to be honest.
So the ones that they didn't know what they wanted, but they knew what they didn't like. So it's like, it's that's a hard target to hit.
Yes.
So it's interesting that you said you're a stay-at-home mom during this time. So this is really interesting from a productivity aspect. Is like, how did you manage your time? How were you productive when you have all these little ones that you have to take care of, and also you have to be your own boss? Like, how did you keep yourself focused and stay productive during that time?
Well, their dad helped a lot with the kids. So it gave me a chance to, study a lot for things that I didn't know. And during that time, I would do coding when the kids were asleep. My mom's thing is that, you should sleep when the kids are sleeping. That's what she used to tell me because I was up all the time doing other things when they were sleeping.
Right.
So
We-
that's how I managed it. I
you just had to get some peace and quiet and just crank away at some code. That's how you got to do it, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what are the best, you told us what the worst clients were. What are the best type of clients to get if someone out there is like, I want to do some freelancing? What are the types of clients that you would recommend people look for?
I mean, it's hard to necessarily look for them. Sometimes you only know when you meet them. So, I mean, if they're easy to talk to, then that helps. If they're not stuck on certain ideas, then those are the best clients to have because if you as a developer, you're always looking for, ways where you can learn new things, new technology. Otherwise the job is boring, right? So if you can get a client who's excited about the new things as much as you are, I mean, those clients are the best to work with.
Awesome. That's some great advice. I think that's interesting. And I think I found that too because I've done some freelancing work. It's like you can tell people that are a little bit more easygoing versus not in their conversationally when you're trying to establish that rapport. Another follow-up question, I guess, is did you get to the point where you're like you told clients that you couldn't help them because you weren't a good fit for them? Or basically being nice and being like, hey, I don't want to work with you, and trying to work around that.
Oh, I've had to cancel contracts with clients Usually the ones I cancel contracts with are the ones that couldn't give me the resources that I asked for. If I ask for images or text or content for pages and they take too long to provide that to me, or they look at me and say, hey, can you provide that?
Oh,
Those are, those are the clients that I
don't
cancel contracts with.
don't get me started on that. I'm like, I can't be everything. I can't be a copywriter and SEO and this and that. Yeah, I totally get that. That's awesome. So basically, people that can't, they're not holding up their end of the contract as far as either giving you the content that you need. You just say, hey, I'm gonna cancel, terminate our contract. I'm gonna go get some more work. So you're not sitting there wondering if you have to put the time in, right?
Right, because they're wasting both of our time. They're wasting my time, they're wasting their time. A lot
Exactly.
of people want websites and they think, okay, I just want a website. I can make money. But then I say to them, look, you can make a website. We could have it up. It will look great. But if you're not providing new content every single week, your website isn't going to work for you. So
Right.
those clients, they even after I've completed the website, their business doesn't last very long as far as the website is concerned. They don't make
Right.
revenue from it.
And you want them to be successful as well. So you're like trying to set them, you want to help people that are going to help themselves, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. So why did you switch? You're now an employee, right? So you did you did contracting for many
Mhm.
years, right? Like 8 years or something like that. Or sorry, freelancing. Why did you switch into a employee net mode now? What got you to be like, okay, I'm done with this part. I want to like go be an employee.
I realized that I didn't really like the marketing side of things. When it comes to freelancing, I spent a lot of time trying to get clients. And
Yeah,
it took a lot of time away from actually coding, which is what I really like to do. And I figured, if I get a job, I don't have to worry about clients. I just have to do the work.
right.
So that's part of the reason. And I also figured, I would make more money. So, but it's interesting now that I've been doing development for a very long time, my focus is starting to switch back to that. So who knows what's going to happen with that?
You could always have a side gig, right? You could always just start doing that up again. So we'll have people reach out to you if they need some sites made. Just reach out to Moya.
You know, do you know what I've been telling people lately?
What's that?
I have school.
Right. Yeah, that's correct. When are you done with school? Because we'll have people reach out to you then.
I have about 4 more years of school
Oh
actually.
my goodness.
I'll
Okay.
tell you why. I'll tell you why. So my job currently pays for all my classes, and I figured, if I take the minimum amount of classes, they'll eventually pay for every single class. So I don't really need my master's degree for anything right now, so it will be dragged out as long as possible.
That I like that strategy though. That's one I've actually thought about doing as well. Just one second, sorry. Hey, sorry about that. Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think it's
cool.
like connection issue or something.
Oh, is this? Did you not hear me say just one second?
I heard that, but then the screen kind of froze a little bit.
Oh, weird. Okay, cool. So So you're trying to manage doing school. You're doing school on the side. You have your full-time gig,
Hmm.
and so you started doing. How long ago did you start being? You started being an admin on this Facebook group, correct? On
Hmm.
the JavaScript Facebook group. So, and what's the official name of the group?
Oh, the name of the group is JavaScript.
It's just JavaScript. Okay. That's why it's easy to find, right? That's why it's the biggest one. You just got the best, you got the best name. So, how did you get into start being an admin on that group? What got you to like start putting your time in there, and how did you become an admin?
Okay, so it was at the end of 2018. I joined the group and then I saw something about, spam being a message from one of the admins saying that, there's spam in the group. And I messaged and I'm like, hey, I can help you with the group if you need some help. And I said, I'm qualified to help you guys. And I sent him my LinkedIn and he said, okay, I'll put you up for voting. And that's how I got it.
So, were you the very first one then?
I was the first woman.
Oh, you're the first woman. That's awesome.
I was the first woman admin for the group.
That must feel really cool.
I actually started off as a moderator for the group.
Okay, so what's the difference between the moderator and the admin? I don't know a lot about Facebook groups, so maybe you could
I
enlighten
think,
me.
I think it's the same for all groups, but a moderator can approve posts, they can answer questions, but they can't change any of the settings for the group. They can't enable certain features. So they have less power, I guess, in the group.
It's all about the power then.
I guess.
Cool. So you were a moderator before, and then you became an admin. And so when you were, how long were you admin before you became the group owner?
So I think I was a moderator. Oh, I'm sorry, an admin. I became an admin really quickly because I was doing a lot more in the group than the other admins were doing. They were super busy because they work for a lot of big companies, so they didn't have a lot of time. So I was making a lot of improvements in the group as an admin. So I'm guessing it was a few months after being an admin that I became the owner of the group. So the group was owned by Bijan, and he messaged me one day and he was like, I have a proposal for you. And I said, what it is? Because usually when I talk to him, it's about, group stuff. And I said, wait a second, am I in trouble?
You're like, oh no,
I know.
I'm gonna go hide.
I know. So it was during that time that he asked me to take over the group. He said, well, that I'm doing a lot in the group and he feels that I care about the group a lot. And because of all the improvements that I've made to the group, he thinks that I'm the best person for the job because it's taking up a lot of his time and he wanted to step down from it.
Wow. So I guess we skipped a step too. So that must have felt really cool. Like, what did you feel like when you had that happen? Were you like shocked, or were you like, oh yeah, I deserve this? Like, how did you feel?
I wasn't shocked because I was doing a lot in the group. So it to me it felt cool. It was kind of like validation that all the things
Right.
I was doing was working out and that he was happy with it.
That's awesome. That must have been a cool feeling.
Like I said, when he messaged me, I thought I was in trouble. So it was a good feeling to know that I wasn't in trouble.
Yeah, that's like where it's you
Yeah.
swing from one emotion to the other, right? So we didn't talk about like what got you. Why do you put so much time into this group? Because like, how many hours do you think you put in like a week or a month into the group?
I don't know really. For me, it's the same as coding because I answer a lot of group questions. So for me, that's like learning JavaScript, because there's a lot of questions that the group members ask that I'm not working on personally. They're doing projects that I'm not working on. So it's not only for them that I'm doing it, I'm also doing it for me as well, because I learn JavaScript better. I have a more intimate knowledge of JavaScript because of the work that I've done in the group.
Right. So you don't know how many hours, but something like something drives you to go and spend all this free time. So you said you feel like it's coding, but you don't get paid for it, right? So you're not getting paid anything. Like what's your driving motivator to put this time in the group? Like why should other people go out and become moderators of their own groups or try to help out with this group? Why should they go put their time into it?
It really isn't about a specific group in particular. It's about contributing to the coding community. If you are a coder, let's just get completely selfish here.
Mm-hmm.
Being a mentor, being a moderator, just answering other people's questions, it helps you.
Okay.
It's not just about those people, because at the moment you find out that you can explain coding is when you really understand what is going on.
Right. That's a great point. So because my university focused a lot on that, was it focused on teaching others and how important teaching is to your own learning. So I really like that. So if you want to become better, then go out and start mentoring other people however you can do it.
However you can do it.
Awesome. So let's go on to the productivity question. So what does productivity feel like to you, Moya?
For me, it's a little bit different from other people. I guess some developers measure it based on how many apps they can put out during a week. For me, it's different. It's about putting out quality apps. So I stay productive by doing a lot of research and making sure that my apps are, solving a lot of edge cases, because your app works great in development until it hits production and
Right.
your app is getting used in a lot of ways that you didn't expect it to be used. So I try to foresee that while I'm working on my app. So I try to put out a lot of quality instead of quantity. And I stay productive by mapping what I need to do every day. And the main tool that I use for that is Asana. It's a kind of like a to-do list app. If you don't know what Asana is, you probably have heard about Monday. Those are very similar tools. So, I actually use both. I'm actually using both right now.
So Asana, so I've used Asana before. So you're talking about like Asana is your favorite productivity tool, right? So Asana is very similar to, from what I remember, it's very similar to Trello. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is similar to that.
Okay, but it seems like it might have a little bit more complex features. I'm not sure. I haven't used Asana in a long time, so.
Yeah, you can prioritize your projects. You can give your projects due dates. You can group your projects into sections. You can add subtasks for your projects with Asana. So you can drill down to the very details of what you want in your project with that tool. So it's very helpful. And one of the things that I like is I like to map out my projects before I even start coding. So when it comes time to code, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just thinking, okay, A, this is what this is supposed to do. B, this is what this is supposed to do. And I kind of like go down my list that way and I code for that. So I don't waste a lot of time, thinking about what the app should do.
Right. So kind of planning out planning out the best you can so you're not wasting or coding on things you shouldn't need to be coding on as well, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is your favorite productivity technique? I know we talked a little bit earlier. You said that you like quiet, right? To be able to be productive. But what's your favorite technique or paradigm? Like, do you use anything like tomato timer or time blocking or anything like that?
Oh no, I don't use those tools. Those drive me crazy. I would literally look at them and watch the time go down. And that's wasting time for me. I get anxiety just watching the time. So I don't really use those tools. But I guess they're very useful for some people. Some people like that. I just don't.
You just so how do you approach so so basically do you just kind of work on a project and get each individual like story or task done and then move on to the next one? You don't really pay attention to time or anything, you just try to get it done and move on?
Yeah, that's how I do it. And my job is very flexible with that. We don't have specific due dates. We don't have, delivery dates for projects. So we give an estimated time of how long we think the project will take. And if anything happens, like sometimes I'm working on 3 or 4 projects at the same time. So the priority of my projects get shifted around a lot. So
Right. Okay.
it's kind of hard to say, well, this project is due next week, and and then what do I do when I'm already working another project?
Right.
It's hard to track the projects that way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's really nice that you have that flexibility.
Hmm.
So what time of day are you most productive? Are you most productive like early in the morning, late at night, after lunch? Like, what's the most productive time of day for you?
Oh God, after lunch I want to sleep.
Me too.
It's not it's not after lunch. Actually, it's during the night.
During the night. So
Yeah.
like what time frame for you? Like after 10, after 8,
So
3
no,
a.m.?
we're talking 2 a.m., 3
Oh, wow. So it's like got to be dead silent. Your kids can't be around like
Yeah, I was working on a project one day, and I think I was working on Postman, and it was a shared. We had some shared resources for Postman, and my coworker, he was checking on the timestamp, and he saw that it was like 2 a.m. and he's like, "Do you sleep?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I sleep, but
oh wow. He's like, yeah, stop it.
yeah, I know the timestamp was like 2 a.m. in the morning."
That's
And
awesome. That's great. So, what's the best advice you've ever received from someone else on productivity?
you know what? There's lots of advice. The one I'm thinking about right now is ask a lot of questions. It will save you a lot of time.
I like it. So communicate really well. So how have you seen that work in your how has it saved you time at your job, for example?
At my job, I work a lot with external vendors because my job, they're using a lot of outside tools now. So I'm working with a lot of services. Sometimes I connect with people who are not on the dev team. So I have to ask a lot of questions up front so that they could bring my questions back to the dev team. So it saves me a lot of time if I can do that up front instead of wasting time in between, because they literally are the middle so it helps a lot to communicate and get the information that you need up front.
Okay, so it's like that's so it basically you don't have downtime where you're like waiting on 3 or 4 projects because you're waiting on a bunch of answers from other people. You
Yeah.
try to ask as many questions as you can up front to remove those roadblocks.
Hmm.
Awesome. So it was really fun talking to you, Moya, and I want to know how, if people want to follow you, how can we follow you? What's the best social medias we can follow you on?
So I have a page on Facebook. You could find me by going to facebook.com/moya.richards.dev. So that's
Okay.
the best way to reach me. Not my personal Facebook. You'll see Moya Richards. Don't go there.
Awesome.
You're free to go to my page though.
Cool. So, and how can people get involved in the JavaScript group?
Getting involved in the JavaScript group is really easy. The group is getting so big that I'm actually looking for more moderators right now. So Facebook allows you to post a job. So I am accepting moderators right now. So it's a volunteer position, no money. So yeah.
But great experience, right?
Oh, great experience.
Yeah, you got to play that up. It's the marketing side.
There is a perk. There is a perk to being a part of the JavaScript group.
Awesome. Let's hear it.
The admins of the JavaScript group, those people are professional developers. Those are my go-to people when I'm programming and I think that I'm stuck. I message somebody and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm working on. Can you help? And they're so quick to help. It's just amazing.
That's awesome.
I think as developers, you need other developers in your life.
It's true.
You really do, because you don't know everything, and they might know something.
Yep. I love it. I love it. All right, Moya. Well, we hope to see the group grow to like 200,000 over the next year. So we'll see what happens with it. And
I guess if I put my marketing hat on, I guess.
You got to put your marketing hat on. We want to see it grow. So thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.